We're back. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. After all of the kerfuffle and everything going on and crazy and snowing sideways and wind and things lights and banging and crashing and the snow removal guys, it's been a very busy time. So I'm a little crooked for some reason. I seem to be sitting a little crooked today. So happy Remembrance Day. My daddy, these were the dress medals that he would wear, and this is the beautiful Air Force heart that service personnel gave their sweethearts. And so I'm representing my mama and my daddy today. And and all the other good stuff that has a whole bunch of hearts on it, including mom. I'm in here early because my business partner, my producer, Gary Swithenbank, and I are going to head over down to where all of the volunteers, as my dad used to call them, are getting ready to march and celebrate all the wonders of being. Good morning, Maggie. Good morning. It's nice to see you. Celebrating all the wonders of what it means to stand for the day, stand on this day. And the reason it's a kind of a teary day is not because of the military. It isn't. It's because of all the people we forget to thank, all the people who come along and do something pretty amazing. And then they kind of drift away and we forget, unless we sit down and make a list. Maggie and I were talking about making lists and clearing things up and discovering why it's taking so long to get stuff done. And the lists kind of help. One of the things I said to her is, anybody can make a list of things they want, a bucket list. And I said, but the really helpful list is to make a list of the things you don't want. What you're saying to yourself, yeah, I'm done with that. Don't need to do that ever again. Thanks very much. I won the prize, got the t-shirt, and it looks wretched on me. And so we forget all the things that shifted us, all the things that turned us a little bit back on or off course briefly, so that we could see the world through another set of filters, through different eyes. And so I kind of want to talk about that today. I want to talk about the people who truly created change for us. And one of the stories is funny. Most of them are. It's a story of when I was in college and I went to a Christmas party. No, I'm sorry, it was a New Year's party. This is the whole point if it wasn't at a New Year's party. And one of the guests arrived at about 8:15, which is kind of okay, a little early, but arrived at 8:15 with a very large bottle of something and proceeded to drink the entire contents. By 9:30, he had managed to achieve a completely empty bottle. He had passed out on the floor, face down, having thrown up. I know, you weren't expecting that. And then finally, he woke up at about, I'm going to say 11:20, with the kind of hangover that is in the dictionary as the definition of hangover. And I watched him go through, his larva stage of life. I watched him process and go through the curves and around the hairpin turns. And when he woke up, and he felt like hell on toast. And I said to myself, there's a 15 minutes you never want to get back. And I've never forgotten that I said that. It just kind of fell out of my mouth the way stuff does. But I've realized, looking into things, that it's a euphemism. It's not actually obviously 15 minutes. It took him a lot longer to feel that wretched. But my God, he got it accomplished well before the big moment where everybody else was celebrating. And of course, by the time everybody's celebrating, the noise for him. So what I wanted to say today, what is this doing here? You know what? There. Oh my God. Look, see? Okay. What I wanted to say today is, if we look at life in 15-minute bursts, and sometimes there's fireworks, and sometimes it's like it doesn't matter. And of course, there's everything in between. But if everything is 15 minutes, it gives us something to think about. And here it is. It's only 15 minutes. At the end of 15 minutes, we're going to get a different 15 minutes. So why not let's be in this 15 minutes on the off chance that the next 15 minutes is late, on the off chance that we miss the gate. Didn't mean to do that. Why not be here now in this 15 minutes? I look at my life, and I say to myself, I attended Miami-Dade Junior College South Campus, very near Coral Gables, Florida, for roughly 15 minutes. I got there after Europe and discovered that this junior college was using my 10th grade textbooks from Canada. So I was on the dean's list for about 15 minutes, and they couldn't understand why, given the paperwork I came in with. And then they realized that I didn't fit. I couldn't go through the curriculum because I already knew it. And it was an unfair way to grade everybody else. So how long was I there? 15 minutes. Did I have a job? Yep. How long was I there? Did I get another one? Yep. How long? See, I worked in New York. How long? Well, longer than 15 minutes, but only by a couple. And everywhere I went, every chapter, every benighted apartment that looked like a great idea at the time, fortunately, 15 minutes. There is a thing that is said in theater, in case you didn't know, to alert everybody backstage, either going out front of the curtain or behind the scenes. Cast on stage, 15 minutes is the alert we get from the stage manager letting us know that the show is going to begin. When? 15 minutes. And in that final 15 minutes is all the time we have to make sure everything we need, we got. And if not, oh well. And today, starting earlier so that Gary and I can walk over to celebrate the day, it feels like a fresh 15 minutes. It gave me an opportunity to think about the things that I really wanted to say. And when I did my little post this morning, and I celebrated by showing my parents and the flags that represent the branch of service that my dad was in, and Gary and I doing one of our let's get involved in this lion effect. Let's talk to the people who make change. And so we were at this event, and that was the picture I captured. He captured. And actually, we were both smiling. Oh, my God. These are 15-minute moments. And it's not the same as a Milo moment, which is a snapshot, a moment, a blink in time, when everything we thought we knew is different. Our 15 minutes is the burst, is the trajectory of the idea coming into fruition, of that first moment when the wind fills the sail and we can store the oars and just work with the rudder. Those 15 minutes give us all the time we need to be ready for what's coming, to live in what's coming. When Maggie and I were talking about these lists that I give her and the words that I give her, and one of the words I was saying that we all need to do something with in our vocabulary, if we can't eliminate it, at least we need to be aware of it, is the word enough. And I said, there's two ways to look at that word. Sometimes there's three, mostly there's two. And people, to my mind, are using it in a way they don't mean to. Good enough doesn't mean great. Soon enough, fast enough doesn't mean we're not late. It means cautious. It means careful. It doesn't mean Shazam, wow, holy cow, hang on, here we go. And for a lot of us, we don't need those hang on, here we go moments nonstop. They're exhausting. But so is mediocrity. One of the tasks that I said, you want to take a challenge, Maggie? Here's a challenge. I want you to write down in increments the stuff you do on a day-to-day. You're going to get to the bottom, and it has to be 24 hours because we never have any left over. Don't know how that works. But if we're going to add something new, to the roster, something exciting, something different, stuff that creates change. It means we're going to have to see where we put our time and what we're willing to take away in order to prioritize the new. And I just said, it really only takes about 15 minutes to go through it. So it had been a full week. And so when we were talking last night, I said, how'd you do? Did you find anything? And she said, yes, I did. Yes, I didn't explain so much, really. And she was talking about screen time, how much time was not focused on a learning curve. It was focused on sitting in neutral. And there's nothing wrong with neutral. If anybody here understands that you need to go through neutral to get to the other side, neutral is essential. It's just not where you're supposed to hide, right? And one of my favorite sayings, among many favorite sayings, is a nautical saying. And it goes like this. All ships need time in a safe harbor. All ships were meant to sail. And it's simple, and it's clean. And it leaves you to look at and think about the fact that we all need to rest. We all need to recharge. We all need to reset, rethink, recalibrate. Why? Because we're getting ready for our next wave. We don't need to reset, rethink, recalibrate, recharge if we're just going to stay in the harbor. The biggest thing we need to do is figure out if Uber delivers. None of us is meant to stay in the harbor forever. The whole point in having a boat, in having a ship, is to get it ready to sail, to see what's on the other side, to put our 15 minutes in, one increment at a time. So today, if you can tell that I'm delaying, because the next thing I'm going to say are going to make me teary-eyed. Is that I want to genuinely thank some people. I want to thank the people who said, well, let's give ABCAST a try. What's the worst that can happen? Right, friend bear? I had a long conversation with a man many years ago who mostly was talking about my car, which was unsettling because I'd gone to see him to audition for a show, and he didn't seem to care. And at one point, I said, why do you do this show? And he said, a long time ago, something happened to me. And I saw decisions made that affected children badly. And I've never forgotten the moment when I realized what was happening. And because I was there in that moment, I felt partly invested in it. And I always wanted to find a way to make a change, to apologize, to give future kids a chance to see the world through happier eyes. And so when he came up with the idea of a show that poked fun at grown-ups and put kids in charge, in spite of the fact that they couldn't actually run things because they weren't tall enough to reach the keys on the counter or push the on-off switch, he was giving kids all over the world, not just kids in the moment watching, but everyone who once was a kid, an opportunity to say, you're right, we could have done it better. And some of us said, so let's do it. It's never too late. We can just discuss it with our inner child, and they'll keep us on track. So my job offered to me, oddly, kind of sideways, was don't get in the way. fill the empty spot, say the thing, never upstage the children, and try not to look at the camera. Do you think you can do that? And I said, oh, absolutely. Do you pay money? And he said, yes, of course we pay money. And I said, and it's legal. And he said, of course it's legal. And I said, all right, just checking. So when I showed up and realized the extent to which I was supposed to stay out of the way, I said, oh, well, all right then. Let's see if we can nibble around the edges of that. And what I wanted to be part of for the kids, for the present kids, the future kids, and the past kids, was an opportunity to shake their heads and say, oh my God, well, better her than me. I wish I'd thought of that. I'm glad I didn't. And so I was the comic relief in a comedy show. I was the unexpected, what on earth did that woman just do? That gave people a moment in the midst of the moment that was meant. And every so often I would get a chance to sit down with that man. And he would say, I know you know what you're doing. And I said, oh, good. Because the last person didn't think I did. And he said, yes, I didn't expect it. And one of these days I'll mend my ways. And he did. Eventually he saw me doing something on my own that I had written, and he said, I'm going to get you a special. I don't know if it'll go anywhere given the suits don't have any vision, but I'm going to do what I can. And so bless him, he did. Bless him, I got to do a show on television that I had written by myself, a one-woman experience that allowed me to show the world who I really was in all my many facets. The show was called Gloves Off, and it debuted at a Fringe festival, and then it got its brief moment in the sun for roughly 15 minutes on CTV. They aired it once after midnight because the producer didn't think people would like it. Do I care? No. It's gone down in the annals of history. So who I'm thanking, in case you didn't know, is Roger Price. Who I'm thanking are all the kids who watched, and all the kids who were in it, and all the kids, future and past and present, who are still tuning in now. Why? Because nostalgia keeps us grounded. Nostalgia makes us remember those 15 minutes that were fine, that were just amazing. And that is worth the price of admission every time. So today we're early, and I have a feeling that a few people are still looking for 10 o'clock. The good thing is that this is a live, so you can watch it anytime. You can watch it twice. You can watch it on multiple platforms. And so Roger's not the only one I want to thank. Who I also want to remember today, who my heroes are today, we'll always be giving people the moments. Marnie. I am the moment every time I enter the room, hopefully vertical. I want to thank everybody who caused me the utmost damned astonishment. I want to thank everybody who made me wonder, is this thing on? I want to thank everyone who gave me pause. I want to thank, in spite of myself, I want to thank everybody who went out of their way to do their best to trip me up. Because smooth sailing is something anybody can do. Hiking out in a high wind, now that separates the girls from the women and the men. Let me tell you. When adversity sneaks up on you and says, how you doing? We all have choices. And the work that I'm doing today, that I've always been doing really, is giving people a glimpse of their possibility, no matter what. No matter what is thrown at us, we have options. Sometimes we do need to lie down, face down on the linoleum floor. Sometimes that is essential because we just need a minute or 15 of them. However, we also need to know we're not alone. We need to know, even if there isn't anybody right here in this moment, they're very close by. And sometimes they're there to help us up. And sometimes we get a message days, weeks, months, years later, I just heard, and I'm sending a hug. And of course, telling me they're sending the hug isn't the hug. The fact that they sent anything is what it's all about. I, you know, I, I often say to people who say the oddest things, "Well, you dropped on your head as a child," because it scrambles things. I got scrambled a couple of times. I got scrambled at almost 200 miles an hour on a German highway once. Car flipped, rolled, flipped, rolled, flipped, rolled. The roof came off. We all fell out. We all survived. And from that time, there are moments when I don't remember things. They come back suddenly, unexpectedly, and I think, oh yeah, it was 11 or green. And I'm really tempted to phone the person in the middle of the night to tell them that I've remembered what I didn't. There were things that happened to me in my childhood, separating me from my life, from my people, from my friends. Thanks to the military, that's normal. We are set adrift. We're not set adrift alone. We're sent all over the world. And when we arrive at the next destination, there's a whole bunch of us waiting there. Oh, you too? Come on in. The water's fine. A little chilly, but hey. And why this matters is that we need to feel like we belong. It's an essential part of us. Who we are is intrinsically us. And yet, we are fully realized when we see others like us, when we realize we're not the only one of our kind. The longest time, I thought I was the only Hagyard. My dad was an only child. And when my parents died, I thought that was it. And then the phone rang one day, and it was a Hagyard doing the family tree. And I learned that there were thousands and thousands and thousands of us. Yeah. Woohoo! And when we started to connect using social media, my God, we all look alike. Who knew? And so many of the boys remind me of my dad when he was young. So many of the older men remind me of my grandfather when he was lying to people and saying the most astonishing things. Every single time we feel set adrift, we feel alone, we feel unloved, we feel we have no direction, we're bored, and we don't know how to get back up, and we can't be bothered because what's the point? If we're paying attention at all, somebody comes along and irritates us just enough that we get over it. And sometimes they irritate us fun. It's fabulous. We laugh. And sometimes they do their best to do harm. And either way, it triggers our survival mechanism, doesn't it? It triggers us to say, I don't think so, Tim. And take action. Stand our ground. If it was someone we thought had feelings for us, truly cared, then we have options. We can draw that heart-shaped line in the sand and put ourselves in it and tell these people, thank you. Thank you for the good times and the bad. And now I'm going to love you from afar. Because that is how it's going to work for me. And we can do it. And it feels less terrible than that straight line and screaming and yelling and throwing things. Because everything is 15 minutes. And sometimes we get a couple of them. We get a couple of 15-minute increments. And that's magic. Most of the time when I do these videos, we get 3. My videos are usually about 45 minutes long. Sometimes, occasionally, we get 4. Why? Can I not shut up? Can I not do it faster? Sure I can. But I'm telling you a story. I'm telling you who I am. I'm telling you who my personal heroes are and their hero stories, so that we can share all that we know and care about each other. There's a lot of doom and gloom that is projected all the time, since the dawn of time. There's always been somebody walking around like their tie is caught in their zipper. And everybody says it's the worst of times. Wasn't it Charles Dickens? It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Dear Charles, make up your mind. And if we are looking at him as a metaphor, he was talking about a tale of two cities living side by side. Well, that's how we're living. Our lives are a tale of two cities. And we can choose joy. And we can choose sorrow. And we can choose to look forward and we can choose to look back. And in the middle, in between the two stories, is our passageway. Free, no toll road. And we can travel between those stories anytime. We can choose to say, I choose me. We can choose to say, it's not that bad. My comfort zone is discomfortable, but it's not that bad. I'm fine. Until the day it isn't fine. Until the day we're looking over at the other story, at the other city, and we're saying, you know, the truth is that the grass is always greener over the septic tank, but I like the way they've planted their flowers. I think I'm going to go over there and check it out for a little while. I'll be back. And this is what I want to say to us today. We should consider the possibility. We can consider the possibility. I are considering the possibility that we can be excited for our possibility and giving ourselves permission to cut us a little slack. We don't need to be driving ourselves and driving ourselves and driving ourselves to do more, to be more. That's ridiculous because we already are all the more. We came with all the more. It's just that most of us can't find the instructions. And the people who tell us, yeah, mule, do more, they got it wrong. We do what we can, the best we can, because it feels great. Not because we're terrified, not because we're looking over our shoulder. We do it because it gives us purpose. Maggie said the most remarkable thing last night. We were talking about her trajectory. She's talking about coaching, talking about looking at what she's doing and what her job is giving her and what it's missing. And she had said originally, I want to walk through what it means to re-examine what I'm doing. Take a different kind of look at who I am and where I've been and what's been going on. Because I have a feeling I want to do some coaching. I have a feeling that the things I've seen could help me connect to people differently. And who knows, maybe it might inspire, engage, empower them to look at them differently and say, what if? So we were talking, and I said, how much time do you think you've invested in waiting? And she said, too much, way too much. I looked at the numbers and I thought, good heavens, when did that start? And I said, and how are you feeling now? And she said, you know what? I'm getting a taste of freedom. I can smell the salt air on the wind. And I said, well, that's fairly easy, Maggie. You live in Florida. All you have to do is go outside. And she said, metaphor. So on this day, you see me stalling as best I can. In the dictionary under stalling, it's my father saying to me, stop stalling. Today I'm going to go to where all the military people go today. And I'm going to give thanks for the people who did their best. All of them. Even if they were the volunteer who was just the slowest person to step back, as my dad used to say, I'll tell you something, sweetheart. He said, volunteers aren't the people who step forward. They're the ones who are the last to step back. And I'm going to give thanks for that. I'm going to give thanks for Kleenex. I'm going to give thanks for Kleenex, because where would we be without it on days like this? I'm going to give thanks for all the incomprehensible things my father would say, that I would suddenly 15 or 20 years later say, oh, that's what he meant. I'm going to give thanks for my beautiful mama, who couldn't drive forward, but could go 50 miles an hour in reverse because she didn't like how fast people came at her in the windshield. And I said, have you looked at them leaping out of your way in the back? I'm going to give thanks for all the people who said I was only trying to help, after which I would stop helping. I'm going to give thanks for all the people who said, must be nice. Well, that's easy for you. You're a natural. And I would point to the little divot in the middle of my forehead that has formed over the years from me pounding my head on the corner of the desk for inspiration. And I'm going to give thanks for everybody who is mad as hell and can't take anymore and is out there screaming and yelling. I'm even going to give thanks for the people who are so afraid of what they see when they look in the mirror that they have to find rage on the outside to keep them going. I'm going to give thanks for every single person who has said, you know, something's shifted. And I've been able to say, is that a fact? And they've said, yeah. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think I like it. And that makes all of it worthwhile, doesn't it? My good and honorable friend, Tanner Logan, who served his country well, who posts on days like this beautiful pictures of the people he knew and gives thanks. People like Tanner, people like Gaetan Lacasse, people who have found ways to get up again and begin again because they can't sit still. One of the things that we're doing, Gary and I, with Pivotry in Motion and the Live Effect, is every time we do an event, every time we coach someone, every time our speakers agency goes out and talks, because we get a booking to talk about what we've learned and what we want to share. When we are paid a fee of some kind, we're dedicating some of that money to the people who are training service dogs to alert to the early signals and symptoms of PTSD. And I discovered that this is happening. I discovered that this training is going on just before COVID, when I crossed paths with Gaetan Lacasse, and he explained it. And he said, dogs live in the present. Dogs are not fixated on the past or the future. And so their energy is solid and grounded and now. Dogs can smell the shifts in our chemicals in our bodies. They can smell, which is why they are alert dogs at border crossings and airports and for security. They can also alert to things like a spike in adrenaline. They can alert to diseases that shift the chemical balance in the body. And they can alert to the pheromone shift when a person is about to have an episode, a flashback of a trauma that hasn't yet healed. And the dogs, when they touch the human, can interrupt that process and give that human a pass. So when it works, when the human is asleep, they sleep through the night. When it happens during the day, the human is not feeling like they can't go out and be in the world. They're not going to rage. They're not going to do damage to themselves or others. They can actually be for the first time in a long time. And when I thought of all the people who didn't know, who didn't get help, who tried and couldn't make it, if there had been more dogs, who knows? We can't rewrite the past. We can't relitigate the sins and arrows of outrageous fortune. What we can do is do our best to participate in the now, in this 15 minutes, and the next, and the next, and the next. We can do small things. When we don't have a lot of resources, we can do small things. When we see a person we don't know, we can say, "How are you doing?" and look them in the eye so that we all feel a little less lonely. So that's what Gary and I are going to do today. We're going to go up and stand amongst the others who brave whatever kind of weather Mother Nature throws at us on this day. And we're going to say, "Hi, it's good to see you." And we're going to be there as the unofficial honor guard for our fine and brave soldiers of fortune, representing our desire to live in dignity, to live in peace, to live filled with excitement and wonder and possibility. That's what this is about. That's the only reason it always felt worth it to me every time I came home from school and the living room was full of boxes. And I said, "I guess I'm not in the school play next week." And my dad and my mom would say, "There'll always be another one." And they were right. There always is another one. There's this one right here. And Friend Bear and I are sharing it with you. And so is Mom. And so are all the other stories, all the stories that are writing themselves with me, through me, with you, through you. So today, this is my opportunity to say thank you for being you. This Sunday, my team, organized and cheered on by Gary and I, are going to stage an event. And when I say we're staging an event, I mean we're doing an insiders event. Picture a television studio. There's no studio audience. It's just the crew. And we are creating the first ever visual of what it means to witness, to participate, to learn from, to celebrate the Lion Effect. This elite speakers agency that we are creating that gives people an opportunity to meet people who have survived, who have found a way to rise above and thrive in spite of, who are ordinary people just like you and me, except that there's a little bit of recognition because they're a celebrity for something. But underneath all of that, they're just you and me. We're going to talk about the coaching. And I'm going to talk about my new one-woman show that I've been working on for a while. And I'm also going to be announcing the launch of 8 new books, all about Pivotry, all about claiming your inner dragon, claiming your inner lion, telling the jackals to back off so that we can be who we're meant to be. And we're doing it all this Sunday. We're doing it in Ottawa. It's a beautiful restaurant called the Metropolitan Brasserie. I've been advertising it. Everybody's seeing it. Everybody's saying, "Sounds great. Yeah, come, buy a ticket. Buy a ticket. Help me support the PTSD service dog trainers. Do it." I had somebody say, "Do I need to send the money before the event?" And you say to yourself, kinda. It's like, do I need to get on the boat before it sails? Kinda. unless you want to surf, unless you want to water ski. So I'm ending on that note. If you can, I would appreciate your support. We all would. If you can't, I appreciate your support in the future. When I say, okay, the show is happening. Okay, the books are out. And I'm not asking you for me. I'm asking you for you, to give you a chance to see who you are truly meant to be. We're all here to create change for each other. And this is who I'm honoring today. Everyone who has brought true change to my life. And that includes you. Because without you, this episode 409 would just be a rehearsal. So I'll be back on Thursday to tell you how today went and to talk to you about what's coming. Be good to you today, every day, but especially today. Remember things that are amazing. Remember how exciting excitement can be. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to grin. I want to tell you a quick joke, a quick meme to make sure I leave you on that note. There's this great little cartoon. It's a picture of a mom, sort of like a 50s mom, and a little girl, and they're in the kitchen. And the mom says to the little girl, "Am I a good mother, Susan?" And the little girl says, "My name is Amy." Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time. Happy Remembrance Day.